Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, first thing I notice is I've lost my beard. There's a story behind that. I intend to grow it back very, very quickly by the power of the Force. But that's another story for another day. Anyway, just in for your interest and entertainment, the very latest kit from ICM has arrived, the Kozak 2, the Ukrainian MRAP class armoured vehicle. MRAP, of course, standing for Mine Resistant Ambush Protected. Some people say armour protected, but and it's actually built with the assistance of Praktika. You'll see this little logo in a second, and that's the company that actually makes the real vehicle. So they've had input from the manufacturers, which is great. So it's hot off the press, just arrived from Kyiv. Thought we would take a look at it straight away because I know that many of you have been looking forward to seeing this. Our friends at ICM, first of all, thank you to you at ICM for sending the kit along. They have on their website, of course, this model is actually one of these sort of video instructional builds where it shows how all the parts go together in like a stop motion video using CAD, but it's really good. I've got to say, you should definitely check that out. So I'll put a link at the end over here, or probably over here. I'll put a link at the end for you to that video so that you can go and have a look at it. But I think you'll be impressed. So anyway, without further ado, I'm not going to hang about. Oh, there is one other thing, slightly unrelated, but I got told off a couple of days ago. I got told off a couple of days ago by a chap called one of my subscribers, actually, called Pedro in Portugal. And he said, where's the Portuguese flag gone? The Portuguese flag is gone. I said, no, it's okay. I just have to keep rotating them because there's so many now. I can't keep every flag on the desk. You know, they're just going to get in the way. So here he is. There you go, Pedro. And I said to him, I said, actually, don't worry. Portugal is actually, people don't know this, but Portugal is actually Britain's oldest ally. It goes back to, I think, the 10th or 11th century. But anyway, long history there between the two nations. And I've been all over Portugal. I haven't covered the entire country, but I've been from top to bottom and pretty much left to right. So yeah, I've seen quite a lot of it, and I like Portugal. I like their wine as well. Well, that's another story. No wine today, because I'm filming this in the morning. Anyway, we'll put Pedro's Portuguese flag over there, so he'll be happy. We've also got some other flags coming. I think we've got South Korea and Israel and quite a few others. But anyway, on the way. So, in the meantime, back to Ukraine. So, our Ukrainian flag is here, of course. What have we got? So, a nice write-up. This has just come straight from Kyiv, so it's completely sealed still. But I'll just read you what it says. Kozak 2 belongs to the MRAP class of combat vehicles. These are special vehicles designed to protect the crew from mine explosions and ambushes. The tasks that the Kozak 2 can perform include patrolling, escort vehicles, communications and fire support for personnel in combat. The vehicles developed by the Ukrainian company PJSC RPA Praktika. The ballistic protection of the armoured vehicle is provided by special alloy steel with ultra-high hardness. And it also has bulletproof glass. The armour protects the crew from small arms fire of 7.62mm calibre, ammunition fragments and mines. The crew and troops are equipped with anti-trauma seats, suspension, and 5-point safety belts. The vehicle can be armed with a heavy machine gun or a 7.62 machine gun, both of which are mounted in an armoured turret with a circular rotation on the top. In the Ukrainian army, the armoured vehicle is now in service with airborne assault troops, marines and reconnaissance units, and has also been supplied to the National Guard and the State Border Guard services of Ukraine. Since the beginning of full-scale war, Kozak 2 has been widely used by various units of the armed forces of Ukraine. So there we go. So on the side, so I'll just zoom in again so you can get another good look at this rather excellent artwork, it really has to be said. There's this Praktika logo for the manufacturer of the vehicle. There we go, it's like a turtle, isn't it, with a hard shell. I guess that's the idea. That's their logo. You can see the turret on the top. It's quite an imposing looking thing, isn't it, really? Quite impressive. And then on the side, I think we've got 4 different options within the kit. And you can see we've got sort of various, they do this digital camo, it's very popular, isn't it, with them. So they've got these digital camo with mainly green and brown and black. Then we've got green and like a sand and a pale green. And then we've got another variation, several variations. And yeah, not huge differences between each one, but Anyway, let's get cracking into this and see what we've got, because it's quite a big box. It's only thin, it's not very thick, but it's quite large, isn't it? So I think this is going to be, yeah, quite interesting. It's not the sort of vehicle I normally build, but it's having time to build them, isn't it? For me, that's a big issue. But anyway, let's have a look at what we've got. So let's just cut into this. It says, I think my blade is just starting to get a little bit, careful. My blade is just starting to get a little bit tired, being honest with you. It's not to go, is it? I'll put it in the right place, that's why. There we go. Yeah. A bit strange, the edge of the box has got like a lip. Oh, only one that side, that's curious. Huh, a different design for some reason. Is that it? No, more. I'm making it a challenge to keep the suspense going. Right. Now, if you don't mind, I'm not having a drink because it's, as I say, it's morning, but it's very warm here in the UK, and we've had some warm weather now for about 7 to 10 days. So I'm just going to put my quietest fan on. You may just hear it in the background, a little bit of a buzz, but hopefully that won't disturb too much. Just to give me a little bit of cooling. And it's not the jacket, even without the jacket, it's quite the air temperature in here, it's quite warm. Now then, this is why my patent rubber gloves, trademark I should say, this is where they come in to their own when I'm opening the ICM kits. That's like a joke last time, perhaps that's why ICM selected me to be their sort of approved reviewer, because they know that I can get in them relatively quickly. There we go. Right, so can I put that over there? Will it stand? It's probably not going to, so I'll put it over there. So we've got box within a box, usual thing from ICM. And here we go. So we've got one big bag, and then we've got our decals and other data, which I'll pop over there. Yeah, olive green, the colour call out. I think this is the basic colour, just olive green, you know. So that's not going to challenge us too much. And then it's got the acrylic paints and primers sort of advert there. So I shall now put that to one side. Bear with me a second. Oops, sorry about that. The green screen. And we will have a look at the guide. Instructions. Oh, my word, there's actually... Oh, all the digital camo, in fact. Oh, this is better than I thought. Even better than I thought. So what they're actually offering, that digital camo, is entirely done by Decal. So you just spray it olive green, and then you put your digital camo on. Isn't that good? Isn't that good? You've got to make sure, of course, you get a good key, a good bond for your decals. You're going to need to put a top coat on, some sort of a clear coat over the top, I think, probably a satin or a matte satin, I think. So all that concern I started having about painting it, there isn't any. You just spray it all olive green and then just blot these on and your job's done, really. That's excellent. And look at it, there's quite a lot of it. I'll zoom in so you can see better. So Kozak 2. Oops. There we go. Kozak 2. And there's all your digital camo. Many options, and then on the other sheet we've got, that's the other option that's got the sort of pale, like fawny grey, like two-tone grey, digital camo. And this is all made, I think, in Ukraine. And then finally, all the other markings, so your little crosses and your ID marks. You've got your instrumentation there for the cab. And your number plates. Don't know if they're real or not, doesn't matter really, but and these are the Ukrainian markings. So there you go, very nice, very nicely done. Quite good that. It makes, yeah, that makes painting and decaling this probably a bit of a doddle, actually. That suddenly increases the enthusiasm for one to do that, doesn't it? So, come out. So you're not looking at the green screen too much. Ooh. It's warm, I can't believe it. We've had this warm weather, haven't we, in Northern Europe now for quite a few days, and it's unusual this time of the year, early mid-September. We've had it before, but yeah, it's a kind of extreme. Right, okay, so in we go then. Let's have a look. It's got the same right up there that we've already seen on the box, so we won't read that again. But it does give technical information here, which you haven't seen before. So it's got full weight is 15 tons in kilos. Wow! So it's just over 7 meters by 2.5 meters length and width. Engine is diesel, 279 brake horsepower. This is on the Kozak 2, not the Kozak, of course. And 90 kilometers an hour. So what's that? 60 mile an hour top speed. That's not bad, is it? Range of 850 kilometers. So it's got quite a big fuel tank. Yes, and then the machine gun on the top. Okay. Now then, let's have a look what we've got. This is quite a big instruction book. I think it's going to be quite an involved one. Oh, there's quite a lot of parts. This is reminding me of Gecko a little bit. It's not necessarily a bad thing though. Not necessarily a bad thing at all. So we've got sprue tree maps here. Looks like you're going to be using pretty much everything. There's nothing blanked out, so there's no other versions to concern yourself or get confused about. And then we go into the build. So, just let me... Sorry, that fan is just blowing my instructions about a little bit. So we've got our leaf springs. We've got our leaf springs, and then we've got the side rails of the chassis being built up together. You've then got some hydraulic bottles. I think that's probably for the suspension, possibly the brakes. And you're going to bring the two rails of the chassis together. Then we've got looks like the gearbox going in, and then you're bringing your chassis and your floor of the cabin in together here, and you've got your drive system. It looks like the differential there, and you've got your brakes. Are they drum brakes? Kind of look like drums, don't they? But interesting. I would have thought we'd have disc brakes on a vehicle like that, but maybe not. Maybe it's just keep the crud out of it, you know, in the muddy conditions. So then you've got your differential obviously going onto your hubs, and your drum brakes coming on here, and then attaching to the drive shaft, which is going down to the main transfer box over there. Then you've got your armour plate protection on the underside at the front. I think that's the front, yes. And you've got anti-roll bars, you've got shock absorbers going in here. Then you're going to build up the same sort of assembly for the front, where you're going to have the, again, it's like an axle basically. I don't think it's a transfer box as such. That's in the middle, isn't it? So you're building up your axle, you've got your shockers going in there, which is shock absorbers, dampers. And then you're going to bring in your anti-roll bars at the bottom here. Anti-roll bars, I don't know. I guess it's got to have quite a plush ride. And then we get onto these anti-trauma seats, they call them. They're basically suspension seats, a bit like you get in some big heavy lorries. So they've got, takes all the bounce out of the ride, or at least takes the shock out. Probably bounced a bit still, I suspect. And then you're going to build up your instrumentation, dashboard, and your pedals, brake, accelerator and clutch. It's a manual gearbox. You've got like an airbag steering wheel, amazingly, in a vehicle like this. Airbag steering wheel there. And then you're going to pop that in the instrument, you've got indicators, and that goes into the main dashboard. And then you've got what looks like a radio, or maybe it's transmitter set or something. And then we've got a little ladder building up the... Oh, sorry, no, it's the back of the... what is that actually? What is that? It does look like a ladder at first, then very quickly you realise it isn't because it's going between the seats. I think it's just like a reinforcement support bar really. Then you're going to build up your seats, so you've got the suspension seats or anti-trauma seats for the personnel that are going to go in the back, and the first two sit directly behind the driver and the co-driver, and then the rest of them go in these sort of side by side, well, it's back to back actually, 6 of them back to back. Looks quite cool, doesn't it actually? This looks like an interesting one to build, I've got to say. And then we've got a couple of holes you've got to drill, lots of little windows, armour plated obviously, armour plated glass going in the side of the body. And then you got what looks like exhaust on the front, I think that is. And then you've got like an inner armour plated inner wall on the side of the actual vehicle, down the side of the body. And then you're going to bring that in to the chassis and the rest of the made up body, turtle body interior, and then you're going to repeat that process and do it on the port side, left side. Again, all your armour plating and looks like handrails to hold on to, and then we get onto the armour plated glass going in the windscreen surround. It's like a double windscreen, and then we've got like the running board area next to is that the side? Again, they don't tell you a lot. Paint in inner side. Okay, well they're giving you paint guide, which is more than border do, as we know. Then we've got our windscreen wipers going on here, and then you've got this so this running board area going on the side, and then you're going to bring that bonnet and the windscreen down on top of the what would be the engine compartment, but there's no engine included. So it's not quite as bad as Gecko. Relax. It's more airfix than Gecko in terms of the ease of construction. You're not going to get too bogged down with it. And then you're doing the roof, which again has got like ventilation fans, I think it is, on the top. And that comes down, the front radiator grille goes on, then you're building up your bumper and your lights, and then you've got the winch at the front. Obviously the bumper is kind of like an armoured bumper, reinforced as well. And then we've got like the reinforcement, like a bull bar type of thing on the front. Then you're going to build up the doors, so you've got the left port side door and then starboard right side door going in, complete with door handles, armoured glass, mirrors. At the back, sorry, there's a side door that's got like a peephole in it. Look at it. I think it's like it's a gun port. In fact, I just realised it's a gun port. See that little round separate port? You can stick a gun through it. Okay. Same on the opposite side. So that looks like they've both got gun ports on the right side, just not for the driver, obviously. So that's 3 gun ports on the side, and of course, sorry, this is just making me laugh. It's not a funny subject, I appreciate it, but the gun ports there do remind me a little bit, those of you that are Brits or watch British TV, it will perhaps remind you too, and I'll mention it, of Corporal Jones's meat wagon in Dad's Army, which was used as an armoured car and had these little portholes, these swinging portholes, gun ports, where they put all the rifles in and out, and there was some quite humorous episodes, but frankly less so with this vehicle, obviously, so I've been involved in a current war. But anyway, just thought I'd mention it. That's just reminded me for a second of something slightly more amusing. But anyway, back to the serious stuff. So that's quite nice, isn't it? You're putting your doors on, and then you've got your rear doors to build up here. Again, gun ports in the rear door, so it's got gun ports all the way around, so they can shoot out without having to open the window or the door, which is ideal for this kind of vehicle. Then you've got your mine-resistant armour plating underneath, which is like a V-hull, which is what gives the vehicle its character, of course, to avoid any explosion and vent the blast upwards and away from the centre of the vehicle. I mean, you still feel a big bang, obviously, but hopefully the worst of the explosion will be directed away from the crew compartment. Then you've got some mudguards going on front and rear. Then you're getting into your wheels and your wheel caps, like covers, armoured plate covers, protect them, look quite chunky. And then we've got some what look really nice tyre treads on these. Looks very impressive. Let's hope that the plastic is as good. And then all those go on, including the spare that goes onto the back. And then you've got running rails, foot rails for soldiers to stand on the side. And then we've got some, looks like a bit of extra armour plating, and also here we've got tools, emergency tools, crowbars and spades and axes and things on the side. Not quite sure what that component is, C10, C9, unless it's a camera. I think it's a camera actually. Then we've got various bits of gubbins on the side, various clips and holders and brackets to hang things on, and then we have got another camera, I think it is, pretty sure, certainly with an armour plated, so that they can probably dive down and still see out the vehicle if they're under fire. We've got some rails with like hooks and eyes on them so they can attach things on the side. Various handrails here on the side. Jerry cans going on the side here. It looks like a Land Rover on steroids, this, doesn't it? Really super armoured and bigger. It does remind me of a Land Rover though, the shape. And then again, more handrails so they can hang onto the roof. Oops, they can hang onto the roof. On both sides. Another couple of brackets for stowage. And then we get to the some of the interesting parts. So we've got what look like a load of little. I'm not sure what they are. Are they tow hooks or are they? No, they're like a ring. I think so that they can put rifle in there and things like that. Just quickly pop them down. And then you've got this like there's a slight running board area as well where you can stand on it, obviously to get a better view, perhaps stand up on the vehicle a little bit. Then we've got armour plating at the back to protect the lights. More like a foot rail underneath. And then we've got the what looks like the exhaust system and air conditioning. I think maybe air conditioning system. Yeah, I think it is for the interior air to purify the air. Especially if there's gas or something around. It's probably gas tight, I'm pretty sure. And then it looks like we've got what certainly looks like munitions dispensers or smoke dispensers here. It's probably smoke dispenser actually rather than grenade dispenser. Both sides. And then you're going to build up this little turret. And that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be quite something. It almost turns it into a tank almost, or an more armoured vehicle, shall we say. So you've got a hatch as well, so you've got the top hatch going on there and you've got your machine gun going on the top. You've got some like periscope peepholes, obviously armour plated glass. You've got your shielding armour around the gun and then you pop that in together into this turret once you built it up. A couple of finishing parts, mirrors, it's got mirrors so the gun that's using the turret can see behind him. And then it goes on the top like so and just pops in a bit like a tank, you know. And there we have it. So it has a top turret which protects them and they can lock obviously. And that is the, whoops, just come back a bit. And there we have the MRAP, the Kozak 2 completed. And then we go into these colour schemes and as I mentioned, don't be unnerved by this because it's actually a piece of cake for the model. You've just got olive green, the end. It's a bit like a gunship grey F-15 or something. It's not going to be too complicated because all this camo is all done by the actual decals, stroke stencils. So you don't have to worry about painting any of that. You can just decide which one you prefer, follow the instructions and pop that on, depending on which division you want to be involved in. And then here we've got 35th Separate Marine Brigade, the 36th Separate Marine Brigade, reconnaissance unit and an unknown unit at the end, but obviously one that's been seen in action. There we go. Well, I've got to say first of all the instructions are pretty clear. Again, I would like a bit more description about what each stage is actually assembling, but there's no lack of clarity in actually how to build it, I don't think, so that's great. Let's have a look at the plastic then, because I think that's what everybody's waiting for. I do like the shape of it though, it's a real neaty, serious looking machine. There's a lot of sprues here, my goodness, look at that lot, and there's some photo etch as well. Okay, so without further ado, we'll get cracking. I think I might be one of the first people to review this in the country, in the UK. I'm not sure, but obviously this has come hot foot direct from the manufacturer, so I suppose that's to be expected. And they did have a holiday over there, and I'm not sure how they took it or how that works, but good to see them back. So, first of all, I'm going to look at the little bit of photo etch, because that's in a little bag. Very coppery looking colour, unusually sort of shaded. Careful. There we are. So, let's have a look. Come on, camera's a bit slow today. It's the heat. So it's some of those little these little like hoop rails that I mentioned, and also some of the protection, I think, that's around the lights. I think that is. So there's not a lot of photo etch. It shouldn't be too daunting for anybody. So I'll put that to one side there. Then, getting immediately into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Look at this. Oh, they've done another wonderful job with the moulding. This looks absolutely sublime. Got to zoom you in to get full benefit on this. Check this out. There's your doors, complete with the door handle, it looks like, on each side. Quick release door handles. Then you've got your roof, complete with a couple of hatches either side, emergency escape hatches on the roof. That's obviously where your turret's going to go. And then look at the side here, look at the actual side of the body, complete with various grills and vents, cooling. And you've got these huge, like, massive hinges for the doors, armor-plated hinges. And then you've got, here's the gun ports I was talking about, which don't actually have a separate part, so that's a bit of a shame. You could have posed them open perhaps, but it's not to be. Then we've got down here, we've got our chassis rail. Focus. Chassis rail, complete with the gear change there. That's one side. And then you've got your leaf springs for the suspension. So it's a combo, isn't it? It's leaf springs and dampers and also anti-roll bars. So I'm guessing that they ride reasonably well, these things, like a Range Rover sort of thing. Maybe not quite as plush as that, but not far off. Look at this lovely bumper. Look at the moulding quality there, the detail of it. That's nice. The recesses for the lamps. Then you've got all your little seats. So far so good, that looks incredible. And there of course is our underbody armour plate protection, mine resistant protection. See how it's like a V-shaped hull. And here we've got this is the bonnet, whoops, sorry, this is the bonnet. So basically everything is armoured in this vehicle. I mean, I'm you know, they won't stop around from a. Zoom back here. Clearly, it's not going to stop around from a, like an anti-tank weapon or a tank or a heavy shell or heavy artillery. That's not what they're designed for. They're designed to give protection on close support on the battlefield, really. Here we've got the other side, and then we've got the interior parts as well. So now we've got the left side of the body. Again, you can see all the gun ports just underneath the windows. So your troops can literally stay inside like a tank and look through the window and shoot out the gun ports here. Good visibility, I suspect. You've got your moulded, this is the front grille, and if you look very carefully you can see the words Kozak at the top there, he says. Can I make it out? Not sure if that's coming out, how well that's coming out on the camera. Yeah, there it is, Kozak. We've got our dashboard over here. The instrument binnacle is going to go in there, obviously. And then we've got our very meaty looking side to the body, as I mentioned. We've got, this is the internal armour plating that I was talking about. So this is the internal armour of the actual side, and then you've got the bottom of the turret there. There's your windscreen, the front glass protection windscreen area, surround. What else have we got? Pom pom pom. We've got the floor here, the internal floor of the vehicle, all in one piece. And that's that sprue, which is very, very nice. That's another cracker. We'll put that into there. Then we have got all of these doors, and also we've got the machine gun here. Big machine gun, heavy caliber. Looks like a not a 50 cal, is it? It's probably a that's 7.62. It looks like a 20 cal to me, but anyway. Here we've got the back with these big armour plated hinges. The rear of where the two rear doors are. I mean, this vehicle looks a lot better than some of the Russian equivalents that I've seen. Anyway, I'm sure there's perhaps others, but quite a few seem very lightweight, don't they? And then you've got your, this is the sides of the turret, we're complete with the windows for the operator to look out of, so you've got windows all the way around it basically. And you've got your, like an air purifier, it looks like, for the cabin area, the internal, purifying the internal air. Then we have got our doors, very, very nicely done. Complete with the bolts even on the hinges, which you can see is clear as day. He says, zoom in a bit more. How's that? Those are nice, aren't they? Fantastic moulding this. And then we've got the internal sort of armour plated doors themselves on the other side. So you have 2 doors at the front, 2 doors at the back. It's got 6 access doors plus hatches. So it's plenty of access in case they get hit. They should be able to get out in many cases, I would hope. Incredible. Okay. Then we've got some tyres. How about this? Let's have a look at these. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about this already and said, oh, I'd rather go to the resin tyres from Def model. Probably, I think the only reason you'd do that, well, it's personal preference of course, but the only reason I would do that would be they tend to be able to get, in their moulding, they tend to do advertising, or the name logo of the tyre manufacturer, which just adds a bit of realism. So I suppose that might be a reason to do it. But look at these treads. There's nothing wrong with those. And there's no seam line down the middle at all. Gosh, I think these are some of the nicest rubber wheels, tyres, I've ever seen. Look at that. They've got everything, haven't they? There's no logo on it, but apart from that, they're perfect. Obviously just need to snub off that and then we're done, aren't we? I mean, those are proper, aren't they? Those are really nice. You get 5 of those, of course. Wow, I have to say, I can't think what the other kit was that I reviewed. Was it the was it the truck, American truck Chevy? Did that have plastic or rubber? I can't remember, but I don't think they were anything like as good as this. So, and this is brand new too, of course. I think that was parts of it were, I can't remember. But that is spectacular moulding in the rubber. That's really nice. It looks like resin. You won't be able to tell the difference. As I say, it just hasn't got the name on the tyres, that's all. Anyway, so moving on, we've got all the detailed little parts now. There's going to be a lot of small parts. So many little handrails, so it's going to be quite fiddly. You have got, sorry, let's put it the right way up. There we go. So this is sprue D. Lots of tiny little handrails and grab rails all over the vehicle. Looks like a radio antenna at the back. And then we're into all these. We've got jerry cans here. Many, many handrails again. Windscreen wipers. More handrails. And you've got these are the wheel trims here. And the spare wheel itself. And then you've got all your seats that we spoke of, the suspension seats to give comfort to the troops inside. And then you've got your driver and your co-driver's seat. They've got a bit more bolstering, as you can see. Sorry. A bit more bolstering on the seat there. Squabs on the seats. And then you've even got your shockers, dampers here. Suspension dampers. That's the brace that holds the spare wheel here. I mean, wow, a lot of parts on there. But isn't it beautifully moulded? It's just lovely, that. Absolutely fantastic. So, let's see what else we've got. Now we've actually got 2 of those. There's 2 of those sprues, the same. So we'll put that over there. Ready to go back in. In fact, there are 3, no less. 3 of those sprues. Really? Is that a mistake? Can't help feel that there's been an extra one put in there for no good reason. It looks like a mistake. You wouldn't have 3 sets of seats, would you? Pretty sure there's an extra sprue there. Oh, we've got one of the wheels it's come off the sprue. Anyway, so we've seen that, which wasn't quite as much as we thought there was there. It's a duplicate. Anyway, look at this. Final grey sprue, MRAP, Kozak 2. Let's have a look. Look at the leaf springs, aren't they? Nicely done. Look at this. Oh yes, that's nice, isn't it? Got the universal joint there. That's nicely done as well, isn't it? You've got more like a double leaf spring system here. Drive shaft here with universal joints on it. Tools, spade. That's that. Yeah, I said it was a ladder. I was actually right. I've just realised what it is. It is a ladder. And it's just the position of it that made me think it wasn't, of course. But it's a ladder for the gunner to go up to the turret. And it's just behind not the driver and the co-driver, but the seat's just behind it. So it's kind of just forward in the middle. So that was a ladder, which is why it looked like one. So I feel better now. It wasn't a stupid idea after all. And then you got your differentials casings here, and we've got our hubs and brake hubs, drums, I should say. Another drive shaft there with universal joints on it. Got our steering wheel here. More tools. We've got an axe. We've got like a pickaxe. We've got a wood axe, and we've got the suspension element of the seats, where it has like springing in it, and it's got like a concertina rubber around the outside. And then we've got more differential casings, and we have yet more of these dual spring leaf springs. And then there's parts of the turret, armour plating around the cameras and sensors, spare wheel here. That's the top of the gearbox here. This is the back, obviously the entrance, the internal part of it, in fact, internal part of the back entrance with the twin doors. That seems to be it, really. That's lots of parts though, aren't they? A lot of tiny parts, but aren't they exquisite? I mean, look at some of these down here, these small parts. Look at the lack of flash and the precision of the moulding of them. That's very sort of, very like Gecko or Great Wall Hobby or even Tamiya, isn't it? Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. It's a smashing kit, isn't it? I mean, I think you build it up to look really cool, to be honest. But finally, we have got our clear parts. So let's have a look at the glass work. See what that's like. In the past, on some of the kits from ICM, haven't been that great, but that was the older ones, in fairness. And this is brand new, so I'm hoping it's going to be very, very good. Oh, it's a very tight bag, this. Tight fit. Okay, well, actually, I've got a couple of flaws in my. This is one of the side windows. There's a flaw in that one. I don't know if you can see this. You'll be able to make it out. Oops. Trouble with the zoom. There you can see it's got the pistol ports, rifle port. That one, can you see the fault? It's got a little bit of something's got in the mould. I think it's a little bit of distortion, perhaps. It actually looks like maybe dust got into the. Maybe dust. Don't know. Something's there, isn't it? See it? And on the other side, it's not as bad, but there's still a little bit of distortion on that clear part. But they're lovely and clear in terms of the light transmission, but there is definitely some foreign object has got into the plastic or in the mould when they've injection moulded that. However, just a little tiny bit of a shame. It might lose half a point for that, I think, in fairness. But remember, it is an MRAP, and in real life it would have probably bullet marks on the windscreens, or one or two, certainly, if it's been into frontline duty. It's quite likely. Just wondering if I think these two are both the same. I'm going to examine the other one though, even though it's a duplicate, and put them in separate bags. I just want to see if that's the same, because then it might indicate it's a flaw in the mould, rather than something in that particular moment of injection moulding the plastic. Let's just check that. Well, it's exactly the same, so it must be something in the mould. There must be something, it's exactly the same. I'll show you. It's got the same flaws in the same places in the clear plastic. See if I can get this for you. Get it to focus first, that'll be a start. Right, now, can I get that so you can see it? Can you see this? There's little speckles in it, slightly flawed, and they're in exactly the same positions. There. I'm not sure the camera's picking it up as well as the human eye does actually in this case, despite the zoom. There are some there, you can see it there, can't you? These little speckles. It's like dust or something on it. Maybe a tiny flaw, but it's strange that it was absolutely identical, which does indicate a mould issue, doesn't it, really? I'm slightly disappointed with that because it was heading towards a 10 out of 10, I think. It really was getting very close to 10 out of 10. Nothing really to complain about until I got to that last clear spruce. They're a little bit flawed. I mean, I don't think it's, like I say, on an MRAP, you know. It's not a sports car. It's not, you know, a Ferrari or something that's supposed to look absolutely perfect. It's a military vehicle in the currently in frontline duty, so you know, you wouldn't really notice that, especially when the kit is weathered, which you would need to be. I think a kit like this needs a good bit of weathering. So I don't think it's a major problem, and I don't think it would detract from your finished kit. But I think you know where this is probably going to go now, in terms of getting a rating, because I think it's going to inevitably be 9.5 out of 10. And I think it could have had a 10. It just fell at that sort of final hurdle on that clear sprue, or both of them. So, but I must say that the quality of the moulding, it's perhaps just a little, it's just a housekeeping thing, I don't know, but I am more minded to believe, having seen that, so identical on both the parts, it was identical. I'm going to leave that. I do believe that's probably something wrong in the actual, the tool of the injection moulding mould. It's a little odd that it would be so identical and too much coincidence, you know, so that's a tooling issue, I think, for sure. Anyway, we don't want to be too harsh on what is otherwise a supreme, beautiful, gorgeous moulding, clever, you know, they thought it through cleverly. They gave you those decals so you don't have the nightmare of trying to paint quite a complicated scheme. So, what do we think? Well, you know, I've already said 9.5 out of 10 from me. I think most of you will probably agree with that, but I couldn't see any great flaws in anything else, which is what makes it all the greater shame, really. Interesting, but a beautiful thing, beautiful art, giving you a bit of history. It's very nicely done, very nicely done. I might actually ask ICM and say, is that a known issue you've got with on that sprue, or is it just a rogue? Have I just got a rogue one? It doesn't matter for me, but yeah, it's a beautiful kit. I think a little bit of weathering up and you will never see that issue. So 9.5 out of 10 from me. Many thanks to ICM. Again, a manufacturer who in very difficult circumstances is producing lots of new kits. You know, it's a brand new tool. It's come out, it looks wonderful, it's got fantastic artwork, good instructions, just that one reservation really. That's it. Anyway, hope you found it interesting. Thanks very much for joining me. We have more from ICM. I've got another new tool kit, at least one, possibly two, with some figures, very interesting ones as well from World War II. And we have got a set that will intrigue you, I think, but this is actually partly ICM and partly another manufacturer that they've reboxed in together to create really a very nice set, and answers the question that some of you were asking me recently about certain kits in different scales. So I think it will be very interesting, worth watching. Anyway, keep you in suspense for now. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch the vids. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up, give us a like, We need all the likes we can get. Yeah, it keeps the channel going. And if you haven't subscribed already, do so. And if you have, make sure you ding the notification bell, especially that you click all, not the personalise and all the other options. On my channel, all, that should give you the right notification when we upload a new vid. Till next time, thanks very much for watching. Please do all look after yourselves, stay safe, stay well. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.